Good morning, guys. Mike, aka Crypto Jewels. All right, time for our daily Bitcoin update. We've got some potentially exciting things working on the chart, but let's first step back and take just a peek at what I believe is going on the higher time frame and the overall larger degree wave structure. So I've ultimately got two counts on this. The first one we'll go over will be my alternate count, which is not my primary, which is that this is a one wave, being that this is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. And now we are working on, some sort of, this would be a complex correction at this point where this would put in, potentially an A wave, and then you would have a B wave, and then you would have a final C wave down of some sort. And support for that entire structure would be, probably down below 20,000 or so. That would be the 618 retracement level of that entire wave. So that is my alternate scenario, but not the primary. And that one is not one that we've been going over every day. The one that we have been going over every day is that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 1 that puts in our one wave, and then a 2 here, and then this is a one wave, and we have been working on our two wave now ever since the April 23rd top. So we've been in this frustrating chop ever since, we've topped here, which again, I believe is a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup, which is this 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we will break up into our three wave. So ultimately, that is what I believe we are working on. So if this count does get invalidated, then I would assume that we end up heading lower. But as of right now, this thing has played out pretty well. We have been really following it well. We have navigated through it pretty well. Corrections, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with Elliott Wave, are very difficult to navigate. They morph quite frequently. They are, constructed as a very frustrating and confusing wave, structure within Elliott Wave. Whereas impulse waves are pretty simple. I mean, they impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, and that's that. There's not a whole lot of complexity to them compared to a corrective wave, which corrective waves have multiple different types of corrections that can unfold, which, as if you guys have been following this analysis that I've been doing every day, it shows all the different types of corrections really that we've had. I mean, we've almost had every single type of correction labeled on the chart, and what it's ended up turning into, we still don't know yet until we have proof and the ability to have hindsight and look back and actually count it and see what it was. But ultimately, at this point, I've narrowed it down to these two counts, which is this WXYXZ, which is this orange count WXYX, and now we are working on our final Z wave, which would be this A, B, and then this C wave here would actually be an ending diagonal at this point, being this 1, 2, 3, and this would be an extremely deep 4 at the moment, and then you would have a final fifth wave down, and that could potentially take us, down to this zone here, which is the zone that, really I've been wanting to hit, ever since we've started this correction, which is the 50% to 61.8% retracement level. We did not hit that on that last drop, which is totally fine. We still satisfied. I ultimately wanted us to break below, what was it, this low here, and then this low once we became corrective right here. So we did break below those lows, and we have really flushed out this pattern, and this pattern certainly could be complete at any time at this point, especially coupled with the price action that's unfolding right now. we have been always talking about what we need to see once we do hit a bottom is we need to see a what? An impulsive wave. That's a 5-wave structure like so. Needs to break, down and have a 3-wave structure for an ABC, and then it needs to break back above the top of that 5th wave structure. Ultimately, in order to have, more confidence that the bottom is in and that we are moving on to our 3rd wave. So that's ultimately what we've been looking for. And then the other count that we have on here that's possible is this WX, and this is a B, and this actually was a C wave, and it could be complete as a ending diagonal as a 1, 2, 3. That would be an extremely deep 4, but it did not invalidate by crossing, above our 2 wave. And then this could have been our 5 here. In order for that to vet out and for that to play out, this has to be a 5-wave impulse, which we will dive into that right now. So those are the 2 scenarios. Let's take a peek at what we're working with. All right, so in order for that WXYXZ pattern, which is that orange pattern, which would be projecting one more structure down, in order for that structure to play out, we have to get rejected here ultimately. If we break back above this 26,808, then that would invalidate this as a ending diagonal, because your 4-wave, let's change the degree on it so we can see it just a little bit better here. Your 4-wave cannot cross or go beyond your 2-wave. So if we do break above that 26,808, then that count as I have it is invalidated. And what we would, and then that would really start to point to that other WXY structure that we had, that we just recently talked about, the last one we talked about, which would be a bottom is in. But again, we have to have 5 waves off of the low, and right now we only have 3. Right now we have 1, 2, and 3. So this technically could be an ABC if we get rejected and start to impulse down, or in this case, it would be a overlapping impulsive leg down. It would actually be an ABC since we are in an ending diagonal. So it would be a 3-wave structure, but it would probably be a zigzag, and it would probably be a steep zigzag, I would assume. In order to take us down to this range down here, 24,500 or so. So that is still in play, as long as we are below this 26,808. So what do we need to see in order for us to validate the WXY, which would be that this was our 5th wave of our ending diagonal? And the way that structure breaks down is that we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to put in our 1 wave here. And then we have this 2 wave here. And then we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to put in our 3 wave. So far that's a 1, 2, and then a 3. And then we would need a 4 wave to hold. And that 4 wave right now, if this is the top, that 4 wave support is down here anywhere from 25,970 to 26,165. That is a typical retracement zone for our wave 4, and that would be the zone that we would have to hold. Oddly enough, for some confluence, it lines up pretty well with this trend line here that I had drawn, that we were kind of bouncing in at, getting rejected at, and then we broke above it, went down, kind of tested it, and then popped back up. So if this is a 4-wave and it does follow a typical 4-wave structure, we would likely get another retest of that trend line, that breakout of that trend line, which is a good sign, and that could indicate whether or not we have bottomed or not. So if we are able to hold this zone, bounce back up for a wave 5, impulsively breaking through this resistance here, which is this 2-wave resistance, then we could really start to say, okay, we might finally have a bottom in. But again, until we get a 3-wave structure from that 5th wave, and then break back above the top of that 5, that 5th wave structure, we still can't say technically that the bottom is in, because it is possible that something else is going on and this is a C wave of some sort of a larger degree correction, which we would have to figure out what that would be. But we don't need to worry about that for now. We just need to play this as it unfolds. And for right now, that is what bulls need to see, is this 5-wave structure to play out, hold the 3-wave, and then break back above the top of that 5th wave. That would turn this entire structure into a smaller degree 1-wave of our next larger degree 3-wave. So that's what I'm seeing right now, guys. But like I said before, there is some potentially exciting things going on. We really just have to hold, ultimately 25,970 or so in order for this structure to remain valid and for bulls to have the potential to pop back up in a 5th wave. And then they need to hold the 3-wave and then break back above the top of that 5. Ultimately, that's what needs to happen for us to start to consider the bottom in, and then for us to start moving into our 3-wave. All right, see y'all later.